One of the things I love about my job is that I get to see retail in many different situations. My name's Mark Fletcher. I'm the owner of Tower Systems in News Express. I'm just back from a trip to the US where I got to go and visit a town called Cold Spring, which is in upstate New York. Now, Cold Spring is about an hour and 45 minutes by train outside of Manhattan. It's got a population of just under 2,000. That was measured in 2020. It was named because George Washington took a sip of water from a spring there and said it was cold. So they called it Cold Spring, apparently. And what I want to do is just take you into some of the shops that I saw in Cold Spring, because to me, Cold Spring is a retailer's paradise, an indie retailer's paradise. Through my work with my two businesses, I only work with local independent retailers. And this is my second time in Cold Spring. I was first there in early 2020. I'm so grateful that I got to go back in August 2022. And I really do think, for me, it's one of the most inspiring places to visit in the US to look at innovative retail. So let's come and take a look and see kind of some of the things that sort of caught my eye, if you like, in terms of visiting Cold Spring. So let's start off. When you get off the train, you generally will go down for a walk and have a look at the Hudson River. Cold Spring is based on the Hudson River, and then you see this beautiful rotunda, you've got the American flag, and it's a quintessential small American town. But we're not here to talk about the town so much as to talk about retail. So let's go and have a look at some of the retail. The first shop, as we head up the main street on the right-hand side, away from the station, is this shop called Old Souls. And it says on the window that it's about outdoor gear, it's got maps, camping goods. And the first time I went there, I thought, oh, okay, so this is a camping and hunting type of business. And it is that, but it's much more than that. And this is one of the things that I love so much about Cold Spring. Once we get inside Old Souls, you look behind the counter and you've got this array of axes, you've got camping related items, but I want to just zoom in and show you that you've got burning here. You can barely see it, some incense, really, really beautiful incense, just there. And that gives the shop an incredible scent. So visiting Old Souls is about seeing awesome product that you'll see in a moment, getting this wonderful scent, walls that are covered in beautiful timber, and it's a really lovely experience. Now, I'm not a camper, I'm not a hunter, but I spent a lot of time in this shop. I really enjoyed the experience and I spent money there. Inside the shop, they cleverly display products. They're using boxes here as part of their visual merchandising to hold different products, really cleverly displaying products in this way. And then they use traditional fixtures for, say, their books that they might have. And, they've even got a book there on glamping, for example. Then you've got a whole arrangement of products. You've got candles, you've got some towels here, you've got mugs, all different sorts of products. And then in the back, they will create fishing flies for you. And they've got a whole bunch of materials there that enable them to do that. So they're providing the service as well as the products that they sell. On the shop floor, you've got traditional clothing, again, using a range of different fixtures, different textures, different colors to make the shop more appealing and to make visiting the shop more interesting. So just going back on Old Souls before we move on, it's not just a hunting and fishing and camping store. It's a general kind of gift store. And for this non-hunter and non-fish and non-camper, I found the store really interesting and I did buy some items. Right next to them is this art-related shop. You have a look into the shop and it's got a whole bunch of products about art and about makers. This is particularly an opportunity for people who are interested in hat making. So you can go and sit down, talk to the people about the kind of the hats that you want them to make. And then in the back of the shop, they will do that. They've got an active studio where they're making the hats there. So it's very artist focused, local artist focused. So you get a sense in the shop that you're actually talking to the person who's going to create the item for you. So you've got traditional retail in there, you've got books and various other items. And then towards the back of the shop, you've got this experience where it's an immersive kind of active studio experience where you can watch them making a hat or watch them making your hat, even if you're getting them to do that. Really fascinating sort of business that's very visually appealing, bright colors, bright textures, and again, a really beautiful scent to make you feel like you're somewhere different. But this, to me, I think is the jewel in the crown in many respects. In Manhattan, there are a couple of other Pink Olive stores, but this is what I would say their flagship store at Cold Spring. Pink Olive is a classic card and gift shop, but it's not classic. It's its own thing. This is the front window that you see when you're walking on the main street of Cold Spring. It's pretty nice. It's appealing. You've got this message, celebrate the little things, which is really comforting and warm. And then as you step into the shop, as you step over, you see this sign, this mosaic that says you are loved, which is just a wonderful, wonderful message. Inside the shop itself, what I like about it is they're really innovative in terms of how they display products. I haven't got quite the whole thing in the photo here, but they've made these kind of swing type units in the window for displaying product. So it's a fun way to display product without it looking too retail-y, which I think is pretty interesting. It makes it certainly look more appealing. They use the textures and the finishes of the property itself for displaying products. So there's, you've got an old, that's a mistake. This is a miniature fireplace as part of their miniature toy and gift range. So here's the old fireplace that I was going to mention. So you've got an old fireplace built into the building, and they're just using that as a display for particular products. So they've got puzzles and things like that in there. So rather than covering up and putting slat wall and some of the traditional things that you see bigger retailers do, they're embracing what's there. They're embracing the original texture of the property to make it, again, visually more appealing and texturally different and exciting from that point of view. They just hang things in a range of different ways. So they're not trying to pack the shop full of stock, but they're making the stock kind of tell us a story and be more inviting and appealing. Their greeting cards are all full face display. All the shops in Cold Spring, in fact, do it this way. They have their greeting cards out on full face display. And what I would say is all the shops, regardless of their focus, or not quite all of them, but most of them, so Old Souls and a couple of shops you'll see in a moment, they all have a mixture of greeting cards. Not a lot, but certainly a mixture there. And you can see them here. They're very easy to see, touch and feel without having to try and work out too much of what you're looking at. Really, really easy to shop for cards in that situation. And then at the counter, it's just a really simple offer for you to see what it is they happen to sell within the business. They've got an old suitcase or a travel box that has got these inspiring books, and you've got a range of plush items in there. And then again, they're using old boxes for holding other products within the business, which is a pretty common thing to see in this particular town. Near Pink Olive is this shop called General Store, Cold Spring General Store, which is absolutely fascinating. It's a wonderful business to go into. The counter is made of this really beautiful wood. You've got the brick wall, which is a feature behind, and the counter is a little bit of tech over here for your point of sale. Very sensory, because you can see they've got these oils over here, some delicious sourced chocolate here. And then as you get into the shop, you've got a range of products. You've got some cooking related products. You've got some books, a really broad mixture of products in this store. There are the greeting cards I just mentioned before in terms of Pink Olive. These cards are also full face. You don't see the same cards in each of the shops in Cold Spring, which I think is pretty interesting. They've also embraced the naturalness of the property. And as you step into each part of the shop, you're entering maybe a food section or a clothing section. They're using every piece of space. So this small wall here in front of the staircase that leads to the second level has got some provisions here that you can buy. And I did buy some of these pecan nut clusters that are absolutely delicious. A really, really interesting store. There's a focus on food, but they also have a lot of clothing and other items. And they display products in a range of different locations. So as you go up or down the stairs, you can see these shorts that are available for purchase, and it may not be much, but the fact that they're pitching the product in a way that's kind of non-traditional, that's interesting and appealing. And then, surprise, surprise, we found the shop called the Endless Skein. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not a knitter, and if I've offended knitters with that pronunciation, I'm sorry. And so knitters will know that a skein is a skein of wool. Over here, you've got the logo on and above the door to see that it's wool with some knitting needles. But then on the wall adjacent to the door is this beautiful, beautiful piece. And it shows you a piece of art that they've created. Inside the shop, it makes knitting interesting to, for example, someone like me who's not a knitter. They've got an old dining room table, they've put a tablecloth on it, and then they've got wool around it. And then up top here, you've got items that have been knitted. And then they tell the story about these particular wools. So these are one-of-a-kind type wools. And, you'll never see them again, as they say with the sign. They're involved in a local project that relates to climate change called the Tempestry. And the knitters who are involved in that project are knitting an indication of temperature as it's been measured in relation to climate change. And so they're all part of this project. And so the store is connected with that project and helping knitters engage with it. They also have kits available for sale. So again, someone like me who's not a knitter might think, oh, I'll give this a go. Where do I start? I can start with a kit. I've got everything that I need available in the kit. And they've got, a fairly traditional, I guess, for wool product display, but still appealing, colourful, attractive, and enjoyable to connect with. And then I thought this was really, really interesting. It turns out there are a lot of knitters who love knitting, but they don't have people to knit for. So they knit for baby and children and even adult-sized products, and then they leave them there and they're donated to local charities. So they can still engage in knitting and then create products that are gifted to local charities. So that's the end of Cold Spring. I'll just turn the sound right down. This is the train that you use to get to Cold Spring. So it's a pretty basic sort of train ride. We took the train from Grand Central Station, about an hour and 45 minutes. It's not that expensive. It's pretty simple and straightforward. But what did I take away from being in Cold Spring? So I'm just going to read from my notes because I want to make sure I cover these points. Why I like Cold Spring so much is, and I've only covered a small number of the stores here. Every single store we went into was different, was appealing, was enjoyable, was, I would say, best practice for the type of store that it was. And I can't think of another town that I've been in where every single store hit those high notes, really stood out for me memorably as a place to recommend for others to go visit. If you're a retailer, an independent retailer, and you find yourself in New York, I would strongly encourage you to take half a day, 6 hours, get on the train, go to Cold Spring, spend a couple of hours walking the main street, get a meal in one of the wonderful local cafes on the main street, and then get the train back into Manhattan in time to see a Broadway show or something like that. It's so easy, so accessible. But the takeaways. Every Cold Spring store is specialty retail done well. And by that, they really nail their specialization, but they do it in a way that's not pushy. It's not, hey, you've got to buy products from here. Every shop we went into, we were greeted so happily and so naturally. They were really pleased to see us. There was no pressure to purchase, and they were happy to talk about their business and talk about other businesses. And they were happy to talk about the town. They loved the town. The other thing I would say is that Cold Spring is a reminder that lanes can be blurred. If you think back to Old Souls is a camping, fishing, hunting related business, but it's got clothing that non-hunters and non-campers can buy. It's got cookbooks. It's got a whole range of products outside of the lanes that you might think that business traditionally lives in. You think about a Pink Olive card and gift shop, and it's might stay within that space, but then it diverges from that, and in some parts of the shop it becomes, and I didn't have photos for this, but it shows a more broader range of books than you might see in a card and gift shop. Or you think about the general store, and in the general store, you think, okay, that's going to be kind of a convenience type store. But in fact, it's a clothing shop up on the second level. It's all clothing, brand name clothing that is kind of appealing to that Cold Spring setting. It's got food, it's got gifts, it's got camping related items. So they're playing in their lane well, but they're also playing outside their lane. So Cold Spring retail is about saying the lanes of specialty retail are blurred. And I really do believe that. Every shop gave me what I would call a treasure hunt retail experience. Now, treasure hunt retail is where the shopper goes in and the shop is configured and laid out and the products are presented in such a way that you think, oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. And you're constantly drawn further and further into the shop. And I think that's really interesting. The other thing is most of the shops in Cold Spring don't display products by brand. They don't have a brand owning a space. They have an intent, a shopper intent owning a space. And they might have multiple brands in that situation. And I think that's smart. Suppliers will tell us in independent retail, oh, put all of our products together, create a great display. We might give you access to a prize for $500 for the best display of all of our products together. Brands want you to do that because they really want you to be a billboard for their brand. That's not necessarily how shoppers shop. Shoppers are shopping based on either just enjoying the shopping experience, based on the treasure hunt experience possibly, or they might be shopping for an intent. And if they're shopping for an intent, then you want everything together that's going to be relevant to that intent in the one situation, which means something from this brand and this brand and this brand and this brand together in a display. And so your display has got to be what's right for your business. The other thing, talking to different retailers in Cold Spring, is nothing's permanent, nothing's set in stone. They keep changing their displays. Every day they're making changes in their businesses so that there are iterative changes as the days go on. And I think that change is something that's really critical. I guess the final 2 points, based on, reflecting on my visit in the Cold Spring stores just a few days ago, is love what you do. Every single person that I saw in a Cold Spring retail business working there, they were happy to be there. They were enjoying themselves. They were enjoying talking to customers. They were enjoying displaying products and folding T-shirts and things like that. And the other thing is love where you are. Most of the shops were selling different Cold Spring stickers. It's getting blurry. So different Cold Spring stickers like this one. And they had them at the counter. And, it was one of those things where they were really proud of their town. It's a town with a population of under 2,000. If you think back to the Endless Skein, the knitting shop, there were a couple of ladies in there when I was there who'd driven 2 hours to get to the shop, very happily driven 2 hours to get to the shop. And they were making a day of it. They were going to that shop. They were looking forward to visiting other shops, looking forward to getting some lunch. And this is, I guess, part of what excites me about Cold Spring as being a wonderful retail destination for retailers, because it shows not only these wonderful businesses individually as standalone businesses, it shows the town working together to create an experience. And it also shows the importance for us as independent retailers to love what we do, to hire people who are going to equally love what we do, and to create experiences where even if we have product that other retailers have, it looks different enough in our shop for people to want to buy it from us. They want to have that experience. They want to be part of whatever it is we're selling, because we're not just selling a product, we're selling a memory, we're selling an experience, we're selling something that they can tell other people about. And it becomes that sort of different experience that is really valuable. So I just want to wrap it up really. If you get a chance, if you're in New York, please go visit Cold Spring. It's a wonderful place to visit. What I would say is I own 4 retail shops and a number of online businesses. And, the 2 times I've been to Cold Spring, I've come away with several things to do, several changes to make. And one of the changes this time with Cold Spring is to think about that blurred lines thing that I mentioned earlier. I think of my shops and they're fairly structured. This is here and this is here and this is here. In the Cold Spring stores, it's less like that. The flow is more unstructured, and that entices people further into the shop. And I think my shop, particularly in Malvern, it's a big shop. That's what I want to do. I want to bring people more into the shop for that experience, and ignore the shingle, not be guided and controlled by the shingle, and be more open and flexible in terms of the retail experience I create. So I'm not doing this video to try and get you to buy anything from any of my companies. It's really just to say that I had a really good time in Cold Spring, had a wonderful lunch, enjoyed looking at the retail. I love the town. It's just a beautiful, beautiful town. It's a palate cleanse away from Manhattan and the noise of Manhattan. And we were in summer, and so it was very, very hot. Cold Spring was cooler, was more enjoyable. And it was a reminder that independent retail really can do it exceptionally well, because the independent retail in Cold Spring is very inviting, very appealing, and it's inspirational. And that's what I got from the visit. I got a lot of inspiration. So I got a lot more photos from the town. I didn't want to burden you with all of those. I hope these photos are interesting. And I'm really glad that I got to Cold Spring. Thank you.